Hey, how's it going? And today I'm excited to bring you this game or tutorial like I'm always excited, it seems like. But I am really excited about this. And what happened was I saw this game. I forget where I saw it. Was like on a TikTok short or something like that. And it was this bat hitting these cars coming down a hill. And I don't know, it was strangely gratifying to watch. And I thought, I think I can do that in Unreal Engine. And so it took me a little bit more time than I thought it would to get all the settings right. But this is something what I kind of ended up with. And this is a little extreme, but it's the basic concept. And I've done a couple tutorials that are pieces of this, but this tutorial is going to combine those prior tutorials into one. And basically, I just call this the whacker. What I'd ultimately like to do is put a slider on here to control the speed of this, and then another slider to control the rate at which items are coming down. And then perhaps have a goal that it has to get to a certain altitude or something like that. So you can see from the tutorials that I've been making that they're actually building blocks for another project. So what I do, if you watched my other tutorial on game development, is that I come up with a concept for the game, and then I start writing down the list of features that the game needs to have. And then that's what I'm doing, is I just go through all the features that the game's going to need to have. Once I have all those features, I basically have the game. So anyway, this is what this looks like, and this is pretty cool. And you can you can tweak this and put this to some music. And I don't know what, it's just kind of crazy. Okay, here we go. So there we go. It's going pretty fast, this thing, but watch what it does. See how it it's strangely gratifying. Some of them go and some of them don't go. They all seem to have a life of their own. And see how so that's what I'm saying, like send them into altitude. I don't know what it is about this game. It's just very fun to the way some of these balls go. It's just very gratifying. Anyway, I'm going to come back and show you how to do this, and of course there's a lot of other settings you could tweak on this, so I'll be back in just... Okay, I'm back. So to get started on this, we're just going to go into first person template, and I'll just leave it called my project 3, and we'll go create. This might take about 10 or 15 minutes, but I think it'll be worth your while. There's quite a few settings in here that I had to play around with to finally get it to work the way I wanted it to. But it's really fun, and I think it has a lot of potential as a kind of a game or an in-game feature or something like that. So anyway, we're here. So the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out this setting here a little bit. So I'm just going to get rid of these walls, just select them and get rid of them. Just trying to clear up some of the clutter. That's one reason I don't like this template that much, just because it's got so much stuff on it. And we can get rid of it just in the outliner here by selecting these items all kind of in mass. Hit down shift, we can just kind of clean out some of this stuff. So these are easier just to click them and get rid of them. I don't necessarily need to get rid of everything, but just some of this stuff. Okay, so the idea for this is that these items are going to spawn in using AI controller, and they're going to come this way. And one of the things about this is that the pawn has to be a character. So it's a character, it's not an actor or a pawn, and it's going to come this way. And then there's some settings in here, and then we're going to put the whacker right about here. And then you can always go back later and put in, I did some tutorials about slider controls that you can use to play around with some of these values, perhaps the rate at which the whacker, I call it the whacker, is rotating, and the rate at which the items are generating out here. And then I did a thing on tracking, and you might be able to put some kind of thing up here that maybe the balls have to get to a certain altitude, and then you get points after such an altitude or something. No, it's up to you completely how you might want to do this. I'm going to just get rid of that gun, just because it always seems like it gets in the way of things. Okay, so to get started with this is kind of a hybrid of previous tutorials that I've done. So some of this I'm kind of improvising as I go, so I might make a couple mistakes, but I'll try to fix them and find them as we go. So hopefully I don't delay things too much. But this is really my first time through on the kind of a hybrid model. It's not my first time through on this. It's just the way I'm designing it this time. So to get started on this, we're going to right click and create a blueprint. And this is going to be a character. And this is going to be, I'm just going to call it our BP underscore, underscore moving block. And there's quite a few settings on here that are important to take care of. So what we're going to do is let's just get the things that we need first, and then we'll go ahead and script each one kind of individually, because otherwise it might get confusing. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create another blueprint class, and this is just, I could probably just use a target point for this, but I'm just going to call this destination. And this is just going to be a marker for my destination point. That's all this is. This doesn't even have anything in it. There's no need to destroy the actors, I don't think, because they're all going to get hit pretty much. But if you notice you're accumulating too many blocks, you can add a destroy actor functionality onto here. But I don't really want to. None of them are going to get through. They're all going to go airborne. So just here on the viewport, we're just going to add a sphere and compile and save that. And like I said, this is just like a real world marker. This is just a glorified target point, really. And then we have a target point if we go to window here and we go to place actors, we can search for a target point here. Target point right there. And we can drag that onto the scene right there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a nav mesh too, since we got this place actors up here. And we'll just go nav mesh, and this is needed for our AI to travel, and we just drag this onto the scene. And this doesn't need to cover the entire surface. We can just drag it this way. That's far enough that way, and we can drag it a little bit wider like that. And let me just get my perspective here a little bit. Back up. Whoops, back up. Hit the space bar there to get my controls. And it just needs to cover the surface right there. And just to make sure I got it right, I'll go to nav here. Nav, and there it is. Perfect. Okay. So that's the pathway. And let me just readjust my target points here. So I'll select my target point right there and just drag it kind of to the beginning. And I don't believe this has to be in contact with the surface, but we can just set it right there. We'll see if that's an issue later. And then we'll come down to the other end here, and we are just going to put this one right there. And this one actually does have to make contact. Now I was going to show you something. Is you see where it lights up there? At that point, it would start destroying actors. So if we did, that's what I was noticing, was just be aware of that where it highlights is where this officially comes into contact with that sphere. So if it says destroy actors, it'll just start destroying them in that red area. So you might want to extend this plane area depending exactly where you want the actors to get destroyed. And that's, as far as I know, that's kind of that. And then we just have one more thing to do, one more component, really, element of this. And we're going to right click, and this is going to be an actor. And I already did a tutorial just on this, but we're going to call this BP Whacker. And we're going to double click into this and dock this. So this is just following another tutorial I just did. And we're just going to add a cube here. We'll pull out, we'll come over here on the scale on the Z. I already know from doing this before we wanted a 5. So we'll just make it a 5. And then we're going to go ahead and drag it into there, into the root scene, so it'll use its pivot point. And then we're going to search for add rotating component, rotating movement right here. And then on it comes in on the rotation rate with the 180 already, so just let's zero that out. And then the rotation rate here, let's make it crazy, and let's just put it like at 800, which is spinning pretty darn fast. So at that rate, no cubes will get past it. Everything's going to go flying. And then by default, if we look on collision, if we search for collision, not on the rotating movement, but the cube, it's block all dynamic by default, and that's what we want. Okay, so we have, this is our whacker, and I can drag this onto the scene right here. And let me go up with it here. And you can play around with repositioning these things and see how it kind of cuts into the screen there a little bit. And let's just hit play and see what this looks like. So there it is, spinning away. And like I said, it's spinning pretty fast. You know, one thing I noticed is my player starts way over here. I'm having to navigate all the way over, so let me just move that over here. So this is what I'm saying by kind of tweaking this as I go. So let's hit play again. And there's our whacker, so we're in a much better position right now. Okay, so we want to see this. The home stretch here is going to be this part, which is a little bit more involved. So there's several settings on here we need to adjust. So here we're just going to add, I don't know, what do we want to do? We can do a cube, or you have a lot of discretion as far as whatever you want to do here. So we're just going to add a cube there. And also we got to go into the level blueprint. I forget not to do that. So we've got that set up, and then we wanted this cube to just move. So we're going to come over here, and on event begin play, we want it to move toward this marker here, this destination one. So we're going to drag off of here and go get actor of class, and we are going to want that destination marker. So we just search for destination here. There it is right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get the move AI. So this is actually pretty simple right here if you think about it. But some of these things are real simple, but it's just knowing, like, move AI, AI move. Which one is it? Move AI move to. I'm sorry. It's called AI move to. And so for here, I think we can just get a reference to self. And I believe this will accept it. It does. Fantastic. And then the return value is to target actor. So basically we just want it to go toward that sphere. So that's, and it compile and save. And believe it or not, that's all we need to do for that particular function. But now there's some settings on here that we need to do. So let me see. We're already in the character, so that's correct. We have the reference to self. So we're going to go on the cube here, and we got to search for simulate physics. Now when we check this box, it's going to set the collision to physics actor. So that's, we don't need to check the collision on here. That's done automatically. And then if we check this, you can play around with these values. I just put 10, and that seems to send it flying pretty good. And then we're just going to disable gravity for now. And again, you can play with these settings to see how you like the balls to fly. And then the next one, I think we have to come up here on the self, and we search for pawn. And we've got to switch this to spawned, because these are going to be spawned. And then they should follow along. So if we tried to bring in an actor class, it wouldn't work. It only works with a pawn class. And the character is a part of a pawn class. So as far as I know, I think that's all the settings that we need to do here. And the last thing we need to do is we need to go into the level blueprint here. And this is going to be driven off of an event tick, which is expensive but fun. So we'll go event tick here. And the way I did this is and there's other ways to do this. Remember, there's always more than one way to skin a cat. Is we go delay here, and then we're going to get, it's called random float in range. And this is where I was saying you could adjust, set up a user control to adjust these values so that, you know, to give the player control over how many are coming or the time duration between them. And then there's that. And then I think all we need to do is just spawn in. So we'll come in here and we'll just go spawn actor from class. And the class is going to be our BP moving block. So BP moving block right there. And then we got to tell it where to spawn it in at. So we need to get our target point. And see, that's why we're getting an error there. So if I go into the scene, the easiest way to do it is just select the target point over here, or select it from the outliner. And then when I go into the level blueprint, it'll already be referenced. So if I right click, you'll see it's referenced because I selected it. That's the beauty of using the level blueprint. And then I think we want to search for world location. Let's turn context sensitive off and type in get world location. This one right here. And then this just pops in to there. So I'm doing this all from memory, so I hope I didn't miss anything. But as far as I know, I think that's everything. The only thing I would think that I'm missing is the thing about destroying the actors, and if you wanted to do that, you would just add destroy actor to this sphere. But on here for the collision, you would put the collision to not block but overlap all, and then over here on the event graph you would just hook up destroy actor, other actor here, if that's what you wanted to do. But I didn't see a need to do that because I don't think anything's going to get past this. So let's see if the darn thing works, and if it does, it's going to be cool. And let's cross our fingers and see what happens. So we're waiting. Here they come. There they go. Sometimes they don't always go like that far, you know? But sometimes they kind of do. It really just depends. If we want to get really crazy with this, I don't know why this is just, I think this is so cool. It's very gratifying to see those things just fly away. But we can certainly crank this up to an insane speed and send them really flying. But you can also adjust the other values and see what you can get. So anyway, that's all I had for today. I hope you found this helpful. I think this is a fun game and could be made into a very, very fun game. So anyway, if you found it at all helpful, please consider subscribing. I really do appreciate each and every subscription that I get. Okay, take care, and I'll talk to you next time.